about a few job creation strategies, and I think our fellow panelists had some excellent ideas, so I'll try not to overemphasize too many of them and try to strike out some new material here. But I think it would help first to put a little bit of context of where we are right now, because I think it helps to know the depth of where we are in order to chart a way out of this economic hole we're in. I started writing full-time about the economy 2 years ago when, you might recall, at that time in the fall of 2008, when Lehman Brothers and AIG and TARP and bank bailouts and Wachovia almost failed and near running the bank. All that seems like ancient history now, so now we're all captivated by this. You know, this is my sole prop that I brought tonight. So unemployment 12.2%, 13.1 in our area. You know, the question we get all the time is, you know, when are we going to bottom out, or I should say top out in terms of unemployment. Latest projections from state economists, you know, they haven't revised this yet. They're saying 12.3 third quarter, but chances are they're going to revise that upward. So, you know, we haven't hit the worst of it yet, and it's certainly it's slowing down. Certainly, there's a lot of positive news out there with retail sales picking up, and you know, last month Florida actually had a net increase in jobs for the first time in 2 years, which was very encouraging. But then you had more numbers coming out today saying private payrolls are down 23,000. They thought they were going to be up 40,000. So look for some more disturbing news Friday from the national unemployment numbers. So that's enough with the depressing, gloomy stuff. I know today we're here to talk about solutions. So I really want to focus on 3 strategies, and I think I'll call them 3 N's for lack of a better term. But number 1 is networking, which I know everybody has heard about a million times, but you know, I can't stress how much this has helped people I know of in so many different ways finding jobs. You know, I know this is what we're doing here tonight to a degree, but you know, there's a lot of community-based solutions. There's a lot of church groups out there. You know, if you look at the workforce boards, there's the transitioning executive networks that I know people have gotten jobs through, and all the industries have specific jobs. You know, Tampa Bay Tech Forum. I was talking to you know, Tampa attorney Ron Weaver, who's you know, some of you might know with the Real Estate Lives program. They started 16 months ago, and they have about 700 or so members trying to find jobs, and they found 300 jobs in real estate, which for me, in real estate, that's pretty remarkable given, you know, the depth of what they've gone through with the housing bust. So, you know, there are possibilities out there. There's a new program just started for youth called Connect Florida for Youth. I think it's targeting ages 21 to 35, which is out there now. And it's also something we're doing at St. Pete Times. Earlier this year, we started an initiative called Help Wanted, which is a recurring series that we'll have in the paper. It started out with taking 50, 60 people and job seekers and trying to match them up with prospective employers. And you know, it has had a bit of success. You know, obviously, not everybody's gotten jobs yet, especially those in the hardest hit industries. But you know, it just underscores that networking does make a difference. We hear a lot from companies, from small businesses, that say they're having trouble finding the right people. You know, I talked to E-Mason software company. They're trying to hire 25 people. You know, primarily financial services executives. They have some experience having trouble finding the right people. Just yesterday, you know, Humana Cares said they want to hire another 140 people. So there are those isolated cases out there. It's just a matter of matching them up. Second N, I'll talk about niches. And you know, some of this has been discussed already, but you know, there are areas out there like solar energy, like high-speed rail, you know, so, that the money will be coming for those jobs. We still see some potential. You know, I think it's going to be a much slower growth than people imagine, but on the biomed, on the research side, SRI, Scripps, eventually we'll see some of those spin-offs. You know, that's not going to happen immediately, and that's not much, bless you. It's not much consolation for somebody looking for a job tomorrow, necessarily. You mentioned as well, jobs playing off the healthcare boom, which I certainly think is the key growth. It's the only industry that's grown through the recession, the only major industry. Government jobs have stayed steady despite the depletion on the local government side, but healthcare truly is promising. And then we can't forget the industries here that have been our bedrock industries. You know, not all of them have been entirely decimated, some of them have, but tourism did not fall as bad as other industries, and it's already showing signs of bouncing back. You know, there's a good chance that the economy is going to recover elsewhere in the country sooner, that hopefully some of those people will be coming down this way with their ready to spend their dollars down here, and might help tourism get its footing back a little bit quicker. And then the last end is really that new course, a new path that we need to look at. And I'm echoing Bill and John here to some degree, but Florida, as you know, has always been tethered to the construction industry. Our growth industry, is growth. So we and if you look at what's happened in construction, the last couple of years, it's lost more than 300,000 jobs, which is roughly cut in half. That's statewide. And manufacturing jobs also are not going to be coming back to the degree that they were before. There is some hope that the offshoring phase may be having a little pushback, and people talk about nearshoring and onshoring, but nonetheless, corporations, manufacturers are going to be looking for efficiencies. They're going to look for productivity gains. So those types of jobs are not going to be most likely the best place for Florida to grow in the future. So you get back to what is Florida's destiny? How can we create longer-term jobs? And I think that's something that is the hardest thing to deal with. We're so focused on the short term, and as Bill mentioned, it's very hard for the state legislature, it's very hard for the governor, it's very hard for anybody that's pushing for dealing with this crisis situation to think long term. But that's precisely what we have to do, because we will have a very gradual increase. It's going to be a gradual increase no matter what we do practically. But we want to position ourselves better down the road, 10, 20 years down the road. If we don't look at our education system, if we don't look at planting those seeds for the future and looking at which industries have the best opportunity for growth and how Florida can tap into that, then we could be right back in that boom and bust cycle again. So I think as much as we're focused tonight on job creation and on what can we do for the immediacy, I think we can't lose sight of the fact that there's a long-term issue out there too to address. So I'll wrap it up there, because I know we want to have time to get to questions.
What brought to mind when you were saying about tourism is this inherent tension between the short-term drill baby drill in terms of
they're having a rally across the
in terms of drill baby drill and oil exploration, in the Gulf Coast and elsewhere around the state, as compared to tourism.
Yes.
And that it's sort of it's a fascinating, interesting discussion that's going on. Frankly, I don't vote for the short term, even if it might mean a few $100 million, because in the long term, I think you could just absolutely decimate your tourist industry.
Yeah. I mean, what